treasure tokens. A treasure map. Looks like there is a treasure cove already transformed. And a Star of Extinction in hand for Jody.
Yeah, Adonis has a couple medium-looking creatures there. That should all get swept up by this star here.
Yeah, this seems to be going the way of Jody. Going to try to play a large sweeper and then pull ahead with this artifact card advantage.
Both players look to be really light on resources when it comes to cards in hand, though. Don't know for sure how many cards Adonis has been holding.
Pairings for round 4 are on the way. Once again, 3:30 standard challenge. Pairings for round 4 are being posted.
And back to Jody we go. 7 mana. It's going to be Star of Extinction. Destroys land and deals 20 to each creature and planeswalker.
You know that Star of Extinction isn't even an event that happened on Ixalan?
When did it happen?
This card is just somebody imagining an extinction-like event.
Oh, Magic's great. They dreamed it into being.
No, they dreamt it. And now it's a card in a fantasy card game. It's just like real life.
Look, when you're a planeswalker, that's physics are different in their world.
That's the problem.
Yeah. Dreams are more real. Jody's going to get that third counter on his second treasure map. So it will transform into his second treasure cove. Now up to 4 treasures here. Played a third map as well. He has the full play set in his main. And Adonis is going to have trouble keeping pace here.
Star of Extinction, pretty impactful. The Golgari deck can clob through that. He has to have 2 main deck copies of Midnight Reaper. He obviously didn't have one when he was swept. That'd be a good tool against something like Star of Extinction. And Find Finality just to regrow creatures can help him battle back.
Jody continues to use those tokens, treasure tokens, to draw some more cards.
For Jody Keith's Boros control deck, there are 2 main deck Banefire and a sideboard copy. Occupies reasonably with Treasure Map and combines quite well with Azor's Gateway.
See, continuing to draw here. Has found a Direfleet Daredevil. Now cashes in 2 more treasures for 2 more draws. Hits a land, a Deafening Clarion, and then he will pass. Memorial to Folly buys back Seeker's Squire for Adonis.
Big plays.
And trade a land for maybe a land and a 1/2. And finds the Vraska's Contempt, puts it into the yard. Nothing really to hit there. Back to Jody we go. Third counter on another treasure map, Scries to the bottom. That's going to transform, putting him back up to 4 treasures. Now drawing up to 5 cards for the turn. He can get all the way up to 7 here. And some pacing here on Jody's side. Looks like it's going to be Pirate's Pillage, the 4-mana card. You discard a card and additional cost to draw 2, but then you get some treasures.
There's a constructed power level card if I've ever seen one.
I mean, right, when you have these treasure coves, that's a really nice card.
Yeah, you can just treasure that. It's also a mana ramp spell to your Star of Extinction.
Jody attacked by Seeker Squire, puts him down to 10. Make that 8. And Adonis, 6 mana, going to make Carnage Tyrant.
Yeah, that'll force the Star of Extinction.
Yeah, nothing too hard for Jody to deal with here as he continues to cash in more treasure tokens for more cards. Still 4 treasures remain. A whole slew of lands. Yeah, you're right. That's going to get the Star of Extinction in his hand. You see a full grip of 7 for Jody. Now that's going to be the Star of Extinction. Taking care of the Overgrown Tomb from Adonis and both creatures. Dealing 20 to each. Hexproof's not going to play here. And now History of Benalia. A threat is going to be a threat on Jody's side. To make the 2/2 knight. Adonis answers with Jadelight Ranger, finding him a pair of forests.
Battling back on the Star of Extinction, destroying his lands front. Though not
I
doing
got
a
more
great
of these.
job on the creatures on the battlefield part of the game here.
Jody draws 2 more. And then draws return back up to a full grip. Second counter in history, a second knight into play.
There's a Shiv on fire in hand that'll clear the way, and should only take a couple attacks here to close this game out.
Yeah, Adonis down to 14 on that swing. Looks like Siege Gang Commander in Jody's hand. And instead he'll just go for another History of Benalia.
A History of Benalia combo. That's what they refer to when you have 2 copies of History of Benalia. 2 or more.
Yeah, or I like to refer to it as winning, and that's what Jody's going to do.
Yeah, we'll go to game 3 here.
And Boros showing off just some raw, like, some card advantage in the artifacts, but really the power of having so many straight sweepers in your deck in a matchup like this.
Yeah, and specifically Star of Extinction just being a huge deal. You can mess up your opponent's mana a little bit, and real easy answer to Carnage Tyrant.
Yeah, Carnage Tyrant's not going to be a problem for Jody much at all with so many answers here.
Right.
Very few of his cards are spot removal. It's just sweepers and threats.
Just, yeah, sweepers and medium plus size stuff. Didn't see the Immortal Sun in that game, though that is one of the more powerful cards in Jody Keith's deck. Only 1 copy, it is legendary. But it does shut off one of the more powerful options in the Golgari mid-range deck. One of the more important things that Adonis can do to knock Jody off the early game is using Vivian Reed to destroy a treasure map.
I really like that.
Though Immortal Sun will protect Jody as he bridges into the late game.
Yeah, no, I do want to look at Adonis' sideboard. He's got a full playset of Duress, and that's actually the kind of effect I wouldn't mind to see in this matchup.
Yeah, taking the early treasure map or just taking the Star of Extinction before it destroys your creatures. I think both of those are quite powerful in this matchup.
Yeah, I don't
Also,
mind
Jody's
it.
deck just doesn't really play creatures. So whatever
You
you're
have
looking
things
at,
to cut.
you're either taking the best card or the best card in Jody's hand is Siege Gang Commander. Those are the 2 situations when you address him.
Yeah, we saw that game too. Adonis used a Seeker Squire to scry a Vraska's Contempt into the yard. It's not the kind of card I want to see too many copies of here.
Right. Yeah, Vraska's Contempt against Siege Gang Commander, History of Benalia token, Dire Fleet Daredevil. None of this stuff seems too good to me.
I mean, he may have to worry about cards like Sideboard Lyra Dawnbringer. Whether or not he's familiar with this matchup, that's certainly the style of card that a Boros deck could play.
Yeah. But Adonis is on 3 copies of Vivian Reed, which does a good job of covering that.
Okay.
So you don't have to go too heavy on things that only deal with Lyra Dawnbringer.
And we'll start here for game number 3. It'll be Llanowar Elves, turn 1 for Adonis. Is it going to tap for mana here on turn 2? Boom. Yes, it is. Midnight Rider. Reaper.
This is a good card.
The player from Adonis. And just treasure map from Jody. He's a bit behind on the board. Would have liked some spot removal there.
And that equation only gets worse for Jody over time, as the Midnight Reaper allows Adonis to draw extra cards as his creatures are destroyed.
Seeker Squire putting Carnage Tyrant into the graveyard, and a swing for 3 from Adonis puts Jody down to 17.
For 4.
It's a 3-2. Absolutely, you're right, for 4. Direfleet Daredevil from Jody. No spell to flash back with it, but a 2-1 first strike is going to hope to stabilize the board for him.
Yeah, checks the 3-2. Not a good blocker against the Seeker Squire. Depending on the makeup of Adonis' hand, he might be fine throwing Llanowar Elves at this one just to draw a card.
Yeah, he's got in his hand Duress, a land, Find Finality, and I believe Carnage Tyrant. So he'll start with Duress. Taking a look at Jody's hand, we have Star of Extinction or Pirate's Pillage.
Yeah, a couple copies of Siege Gang Commander. Jody a little bit off of casting those.
Yeah, Star of Extinction's a long ways out. You might just let that one sit around.
Yeah, that's interesting. There is the treasure map that accelerates Jody to it, and the Star of Extinction is the only thing in the hand that can deal with Carnage Tyrant. And you got to figure Jody's not playing 4 of them. You saw multiple copies in game 2. But I do estimate that duressing that Star of Extinction is worth a good amount to Adonis.
Swinging by Secret Squire puts Jody to 14. And, he did respect the Star of Extinction there. Took it with the duress. It's a ways off, but he doesn't want anything to do with that card. Jody's treasure map will scry to the bottom. And back we go to Jody. Land 4, it's going to be Pirate's Pillage, discarding a land. So discards to filter through 2 cards, get 2 treasures. Treasures pick up another Pirate's Pillage, it looks like.
No cards that provide anything better than casting Siege Gang Commander on the following turn, though that would put Jody in a pretty good position on the battlefield.
And here is Carnage Tyrant from Adonis. So now the question is whether or not Jody has found cards like his other Star of Extinction or any of those white sweepers.
So with the Midnight Reaper, Adonis would get to gas back up a bit in the face of a sweeper.
Yeah, even if Jody can produce one. I guess, well, if it's Settle the Wreckage, that's the one he's really got to be worried about.
Right. And we'll see how it plays out, because Adonis knows about double Siege Gang Commander in Jody's hand. Just leaving up Settle Mana would be a big warning sign.
Right, because Jody's deck taps out for so much main phase. It's not something he can just run as a bluff.
Right.
And he will use Treasure Map here. That's the 3rd activation. Scries to the bottom, gets that Treasure Cove and gets 3 more treasures, putting him up to 4. It's 7 mana total. Lava Coil, 2 Siege Gangs in hand for Jody. No answer, though, yet to Carnage Tyrant.
Right. Lava Coil is a solid answer to the Midnight Reaper. Just exile that one. No card afforded for that. Though, from 12, you don't have much life to play with. You don't have time to be messing around with things like that.
Carnage Tyrant ends the game pretty quickly.
Right.
He could do Siege Gang and Lava Coil. It would make him use most of his treasure tokens.
Currently, there's not a lot else that he wants to do with them.
Yeah, I mean, down the road, they can be converted with Treasure Cove, but down the road is not his main concern.
This isn't the kind of game where he's going to be able to use Treasure Cove to draw cards, more than 1, maybe 2 times, if that's the line.
Here are 3 Goblin tokens from Siege Gang. No Lava Coil from Keith. Back to Adonis we go. Now, technically, Jody has enough toughness here. I was going to say had enough toughness to block this Carnage Tyrant, but this is a mess. It's Find Finality, and it's the Finality side. It's 2 1/1 counters on Carnage Tyrant. All other creatures get -4/-4.
And then Medrano is going to draw 3 cards off of that. So there was an opportunity there for Jody to throw one of the goblins at the Midnight Reaper. It would cost him 2 treasures, though. Medrano draws a bunch of cards there.
Yeah. And now the swing in Carnage Tyrant. This turn only deals 5.
Next turn,
Next turn
attacks for 9.
Yeah. And Jody's going to need an answer. At 7, he's got Treasure Cove and Pirate's Pillage to try to find a way to deal with Carnage Tyrant. First, he draws the card, and looks like it's a transform card. It's one of his artifacts. That's not going to play. He'll go for Pirate's Pillage. Can he find anything?
So from here, he'd be looking for one of the white sweepers. Ooh, and he found
he
Settle
found
the
one.
Wreckage.
Yep, says go. We're still playing. And Duress drawn from Adonis.
Couldn't cast that fast enough.
Yeah, and Jody picks up the cards. Adonis Medrano with the win. He's going to find the Settle the Wreckage, and he's going to move on to 6-1.
Yeah, just didn't catch